Hey guys, so thank you again for joining me. It's Wednesday, it's 6:30 and this is my Chinese takeaway kitchen. So tonight I'm doing a recipe from my veggie Chinese takeaway cookbook and I'm going to show you how we do it. Now see, normally in a normal kitchen you'll have at least a 4-burner ring. So that's why I've got out all of my cookers and we're going to actually do it how you would do in the kitchen because that makes more sense rather than me swapping pans over. So I've done all the prep work. So if you are doing the cook along tonight, I need you to just get on and do some prep, okay? Just while I'll have a chat with everybody. So the things you'll need to prep are, now I'm only doing this for one person tonight and I think the recipe's are between 2 and 4 people. So I've just downsized everything. So I've got some firm tofu that I've drained and cut into that size. So just over a bite size, I guess, okay? What else have I got? I've got top end of a spring onion, just chopped. Some Napa cabbage, just very finely sliced, because I'm not actually going to cook this. I'm going to put it straight on top of the noodles, and then when we pour the hot stock over the top of it, it'll cook. Same again with bean sprouts, so they're just raw bean sprouts, but again, they'll cook in the stock. Now, the recipe, you can use udon noodles, you can use ramen noodles, egg noodles. I'm using rice noodles. So these are dried rice noodles and they look like bits of plastic. But yeah, they will cook up really nice. In fact, I cooked it for everybody on Monday, if I believe right. Okay, other things you'll need some light soy sauce, some sesame oil, 5-spice powder. I've got some oil for a little bit of frying. Now, miso paste, more Japanese than Chinese. But what this does is just inject some flavour, okay? So we're going to cheat a bit of flavour using miso paste tonight, and we're going to add that with some stock for the soup. So if you haven't got miso paste, it doesn't matter. Again, I'm just trying to inject this extra flavour in tonight. Some white pepper, salt we may or may not use depending on how salty this is, because I've not actually used this brand before. And then in here, I've got 3 ringlets of ginger and a piece of garlic which I've just crushed. So you go ahead, go and get all that prepped up. I'll have a little bit of a chin wag for a couple of minutes and then we'll start cooking. Just talking about the cooking spaces, I've got a big pot of boiling water on here and at the moment it's not on quite a simmer. I've got the induction out, so this will come up to the boil very, very quickly. Obviously I've got my wok which I'm going to fry the tofu in, and I've got my saucepan which I'm going to make the soup in, okay? So that's it from me for now. Go and have a play, go and get chopping, and then if you've got any questions at all, please fire in. If you are watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. So yeah, so just if you've got any questions, please ask, and we'll have a little chat for 5 minutes, okay? So tonight we're cooking my tofu noodle soup bowl, okay? It's a 5-spice tofu. It's in my veggie Chinese takeaway cookbook. There isn't actually a picture. This was one of the few dishes actually that we didn't actually photograph. But we're doing this recipe here, which is the udon noodles with 5-spice tofu. Udon is just a guideline. So today I'm doing rice noodles. You can use ramen noodles like I was saying. But this is the recipe that we're doing. Obviously, we're not really tweaking it out. We're just downsizing it because I'm only cooking it for one tonight. So, right then guys, have you caught up? So the very first thing we have to do is we've got to infuse this soup with the ginger and the garlic. We're going to get that going, and then as we're cooking the rest of it, the ginger will just give us that background heat. So I'm going to get my saucepan on, and there's nothing in there at the moment, and I'm just going to pop in the smallest amount of oil, maybe a teaspoon of oil, and to that I'm going to add 3 very small slices of ginger, so I'm only cooking for 1 tonight, and a garlic clove. And all I've done is crush this. The smaller the pieces, the more intense the flavour. Now I'm looking for a background garlic taste. That's why I've left it whole. So in that goes. I'll put this down here and we'll just let that sizzle away. So it was cold, so it may take a minute or so, just so I can hear it sizzling. And once I hear it sizzling, we'll get everything else in, okay? So that's what you need to do now. Teaspoon of oil, vegetable oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, whatever you've got. Pop it in. And we're just going to fry off the ginger and garlic just until we can get a fragrance in the air, okay? If you haven't got a pot of water on yet either, and you are doing the cook along, try and get the kettle boiled and get yourself a big pot of water on, okay? Just to so we can blanch the noodles. So that'll save some time in a second. So we're sizzling away now. And we're just going to control the heat, so we don't want it too high. I say we're not really stir frying, we're making a soup. Hey Lola, how are you baby, alright? So Nanny tells me it's not a turtle. I'm sure you put turtle in your text, it's a tortoise. So I used to have a tortoise called Tommy Tortoise, and I put him in the tumble dryer, and it was it tumble dryer or washing machine? And then Nanny just heard this clang, clang, clang coming from the washing machine tumble dryer, and realised what I'd done. Poor tortoise, but he survived. So cool. Okay, me waffling on. Okay, garlic and ginger are now infused. I'm just going to add some miso paste. So there's about a teaspoon. In the cookbook, you're going to use 2 tablespoons because you're going to do a litre. Now there's only about 250 mils of vegetable stock in this. See how hot that was. So I'm just going to add about 250 mils of veggie stock. And that can go in. A pinch of pepper, sorry, not salt. We're not going to put any salt in until I've tasted it. So again, this is just going to help with that background heat. So there's about, well, there's a pinch of white pepper in there. There's about, I don't know, 1/8 of a teaspoon, I guess. So I'm just going to make sure that miso paste is dissolved. And I'm just going to give this a quick try on seasoning. And that's lovely. And it does not need any salt at all. So we get rid of that, and we got rid of that. Right then, that can now turn down to a very gentle simmer. In fact, I might even switch it off for a minute. So there's the soup made. How easy was that? Okay, so now we've got to make the tofu. So wok on again. Because this is non-stick, I can add the oil now, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of oil. And I need to fry my tofu just to get a little bit of coating on. Now, if you like your tofu super crispy, what you can do, you can dip this in corn flour first and then fry it, and you'll get this nice coating on the outside. I do it in some of my dishes, not all the time, so it really is up to you. This is such a simple dish and so easy. It's a nice quick tea time one. And it looks like I've got loads of pots out. I've actually got 3 pans. And the only reason all the ingredients out is because I've pre-weighed things and chopped things, but you could literally just have it all on a big chopping board ready to go. So again, let's just wait for this to come up to heat. To this hot oil, I'm going to add my pre-sliced tofu. And I'm just going to make sure it's flat on the bottom of the wok. If you've got tongs and you don't want to use chopsticks, by all means do that. And give it a swirl around just to make sure it's coated. And we're just going to fry this until we get a little bit of colour on each of the sides, which tofu is one of those. Sometimes it's really quick, other times it takes like forever. So we'll see tonight. Right then, there's about a teaspoon of fine spice here, and I'm literally going to sprinkle this over the tofu. So I want to make sure that each piece is coated. Give that a stir. And say the flame's on really low. And then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1 and 2. Heat back up a little bit. And we're just going to let that coat each of these pieces, and it'll evaporate ever so slightly. Remember, this is going into the soup as well. You're not just going to eat this raw, or like it'll be very strong like this with the amount of soy sauce we put in. But this will be lovely on top of the soup noodle. And it won't be too strong at all. Okay, there's the tofu done. How quick, simple, simple. Right then, let's crank up the hot water. So water's boiling, so I'm just going to pop my noodle basket in, and my dry noodles go into the basket. And I use my chopsticks, and we'll just soften the noodles in the basket. It just means that I can cook everything in the basket and then just whip it straight out as soon as I'm done. Now these, because they're rice noodles, they take a bit longer. If you're using the fresh egg noodles, you only want to cook them for about 40 to 45 seconds to a minute, because after it's finished cooking and you've drained it, you want it to have that elasticity and spring. So when you eat it, you get it's like a springy kind of texture. With the rice noodles, just turn this down because it's having a whap. You want them to be a bit softer. So if you like them really al dente, you know, give them about a minute or minute and a half, and that'll be plenty. But yeah, I think with the rice noodles, you do want them a bit softer. Also as well, I cooked this for my family the other day, and there was a few of us, and what I was able to do was I cooked the noodles, I blanched them in cold water, I drained them and put them in the bowl. What the cold water does, it stops these starches from building up and it's still cooking. So everything still stays nice and cooked, but it is cold. But by the time you refresh it with the soup, everything's warmed back up again. So it's what, you know. So what I was able to do was I was able to build bowls of noodles right across the counter, and then all I had to do at the very end when everybody was ready was just put the hot soup on it. So that's, you know, if you're cooking for en masse, it's a really nice way of doing that. Right then, let's switch that off. Let's pull all this round. You can see what I'm going to do then. Let's move this one over. Switch that off now, that's boiling. So, first thing, so if you're doing this en masse, take your noodles and then literally take them over to the sink in your basket and run cold water over them so they become really cold. And then what that does, it stops the noodles from sticking together. Okay, and then place it into your bowl. So you notice that I've got a bit of because of the starch in there, it wants to stick together. Obviously when I put the soup on, it's going to separate. But if you rinse it in cold water, you don't have that problem. Now when you've got a bowl of noodles like this, take your bean sprouts, and we're going to create 1/3 bean sprouts just in the corner, if you can see like that. And then we're going to take some of this Napa cabbage, and in the other third, we're going to put the Napa cabbage, and then we're going to take some of this tofu, which is in this 5-spice soy sauce glaze, and we're just going to build this up. Let's move this over here actually. In fact, is there room? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we've got our tofu, Napa cabbage, bean sprouts and the noodles at the bottom. And then leave it, like I say, that's done. So obviously we're going to serve this. So obviously what you can do then, you can keep on cooking your noodles, blanch it in cold water, and then everything's ready. And then when you're ready to serve, literally get your hot soup, pour it over the top, and that goes over everything. And then we're going to finish off just with a little bit of colour with your spring onions. And there we have it, guys. Let's make this nice and tidy. My tofu noodle soup bowl. It looks like there's loads going on, but there really isn't. And you can do so much of this in advance, and it's a lovely meal. It's light, it's refreshing, it's tasty, it's vegetarian, so it's guilt-free if you're a non-meat eater. And yeah, you've got to give this a go. It really is nice. And it's in my veggie Chinese takeaway cookbook, or log in to YouTube next week, where you'll be able to try the recipe out, because you'll have it all there. Or if you've cooked along, I hope you do enjoy. All right. So there you go, guys. So that's it for today's show. I hope you have a fantastic night. Thank you again for tuning in. If you've not logged on to YouTube today, I uploaded the video from last week, which was my OK chicken or OK beef. Again, this recipe will be edited and uploaded for next Wednesday, all right? I shall see you next Wednesday, 6:30, for my Chinese takeaway kitchen. Any suggestions, please just drop me a message, and hopefully we can choose a dish that you choose next week, okay? Okay, guys, fantastic night. See you later. Bye-bye.